The orbital megacity of Vesper 9 pulsed like a living organism. Thousands of species moving in synchronized chaos, languages overlapping like music, neon corridors glowing with the promise of harmonious coexistence. It was the kind of place where miracles and catastrophes could unfold within the same minute. And on that particular day, both did. Ambassador Jiren Talcor, senior diplomat of the Crystalline Keeler Dominion, walked through the central concourse with 4 security escorts. His translucent body refracted the station's light, producing gentle waves of color that rippled across the floor. As representative of a species known for strict neutrality, Jiren had come to Vesper 9 to present a historic peace accord, one that would end a decade of silent tension between the Dominion and the Terran coalition. But peace always draws enemies. A shadow followed quietly through the crowd, a humanoid figure disguised as a service mechanic, moving with unnatural intent. Beneath the jumpsuit, a stolen military-grade pulse detonator hummed in preparation. Jiren sensed a faint disturbance. His species' crystalline forms allowed for subtle resonance shifts when danger approached. But before he could warn his escorts, a voice rang out across the concourse. "Move!" A human man, ordinary by almost every measure, burst from the mass of travelers. He had rough hands, worn boots, and a coat patched repeatedly at the elbows. At his side was a small girl of perhaps 7 years, clutching a toy drone. His name, though few would ever know it, was Darius Hale. He shoved 2 bystanders out of the path of the faux mechanic just as the attacker lunged toward the ambassador. The Keelar guards reacted too slowly. Their crystalline armor took precious seconds to realign. Darius did not hesitate. He grabbed the detonator from the attacker's hand, slammed his shoulder into the assailant, and drove him into a wall so hard the shock sensors triggered an alarm. The device clattered across the floor, dangerously active. Jiren saw the bomb spin. Its containment shell flickered with unstable red light. The escort team moved to shield the diplomat, but even reinforced shielding couldn't withstand a detonation of that magnitude. The concourse filled with panic. People scattered in every direction, but Darius didn't run. He darted after the detonator, scooped it up without breaking momentum, and sprinted toward the nearest maintenance hatch. "Stop! You'll be vaporized!" a guard shouted. Darius ignored him, yanked open the hatch, and hurled the device through it. 2 seconds later, a muffled explosion shook the megacity's infrastructure. Emergency shutters slammed down, sealing off the breach. Silence followed, ragged, trembling, but alive. Jiren's escorts surrounded the diplomat, weapons drawn. The attacker lay unconscious, pinned beneath a reinforced conduit Darius had shoved across him. And the human father? He simply turned back to the concourse, scooped up his daughter before she could wander off in fear, dusted off her jacket, and checked if she was frightened. He didn't even look toward Jiren. But the ambassador looked at him, with all the luminous depth of a crystalline being who perceived life in spectral layers. He stepped forward. "Human," Jiren said, voice vibrating with harmonic intensity. "You have saved a diplomatic life. This act will echo across systems." Darius half smiled, rubbing the back of his neck. Did what anyone would have done. "That is untrue," Jiren replied softly. "Not anyone. Few rush toward danger when survival lies elsewhere." Darius didn't respond. His daughter tugged his sleeve, whispering, "Daddy, can we go home now?" "Yes, Bug," he said gently. The ambassador reached out, projecting a faint ripple of gratitude. "I wish to know your name. The Dominion owes you—" "Don't," Darius said, calm but firm. "No debts, no attention, just get your treaty done." Jiren was taken aback. "Why refuse recognition?" Darius lifted his daughter into his arms. "Because I didn't save a diplomat. I saved a father returning home, a leader trying to protect his people. Doesn't matter what species you are." He shifted her weight, murmuring something soothing into her hair. Then he stepped backward into the crowd. The Kalar guards tried to track him. Jiren attempted to follow his heat signature, but the concourse was already filled with evacuees streaming in every direction. Humans, Kalar, Vorthan merchants, Talun avian couriers, thousands of silhouettes. And in a sea of silhouettes, a single man vanished almost instantly. Jiren called out one last time, but Darius and his daughter were gone. Hours later, after the attacker had been apprehended and the emergency shutters lifted, a special session convened in Vesper Nine's diplomatic chamber. News of the attempted assassination spread rapidly across the station, amplified by every network and broadcast channel. Representatives demanded responses. Security protocols were debated. Political accusations flew like stray sparks. But the only person Ziren wanted to mention was the human father no one had managed to identify. Without this man, the ambassador announced, there would have been no accord today. He risked everything for no reward, no recognition, and no promise of safety. The Dominion acknowledges his courage. The room murmured with curiosity. Who was he? Asked the Terran envoy. Jiren's crystalline core dimmed slightly. I do not know. The ambassador paused, as if listening to distant frequencies only Kalar ears could detect. But I felt, he continued, something in him. Something I have only sensed in leaders, warriors, and those burdened by great purpose. He did not specify what. The Kalar were famously private about emotional perception. But those present heard the reverence in his tone. The treaty passed unanimously, not because of diplomatic pressure, not because of political necessity, but because one anonymous human father had reminded the galaxy that courage didn't require titles or ranks, just choice. Meanwhile, Darius walked a quieter path home with his daughter through the lower decks, where neon gave way to warm lanterns hung above family-run shops. His daughter chattered eagerly about her toy drone, entirely unaware of how close she had been to catastrophe. "Daddy," she said, "are you okay?" "Yeah," he murmured. "Just tired." He squeezed her hand a little tighter. Darius Hale had once been a soldier, a decorated specialist trained to neutralize high-risk threats. But after the war that no one talked about anymore, he had left everything behind to raise his daughter away from violence. The galaxy didn't need another veteran with a tragic past. But sometimes the past caught up in ways one could never predict. He stopped at a viewport overlooking Vesper Nine's curvature. The stars shimmered beyond layers of shielded glass. "Daddy?" she said again. He smiled. "Yeah, Bug? Did we do something important today?" He lifted her into his arms, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "We did something good. That's enough." And with that, they walked on. Just two tiny figures silhouetted against the endless luminescent sprawl of a megacity that would never know their names. But somewhere, deep within the crystalline halls of the Kilar Dominion, an ambassador carried the memory of a human who had saved his life and asked for nothing in return. And in a galaxy defined by politics, power, and ambition, such a person was rarer than any star.